I was scrolling through another hot take, and I want to know. Let me read get the exact wording here. Depends on how strong you make this claim. I'd like to challenge you on this. Also, what is even the dispute about that? You guys keep talking about those fucking rats, dude. It's been like how long now?
I mean, we seem to come to an agreement.
Yeah, but it's gonna come back up. You know that.
Why would it? We came to an agreement.
I don't know. Like that. I've seen situations where like key flagship topics apparently get resolved between two people, and it's back into the topic like 3 days fucking later. Somebody got triggered. Give me a second.
What do you got for me, buddy?
I'm reading through the thing because I remember I found something that I sort of disagreed with you on.
Okay.
I think your take on the sort of dialectical materialism thing is kind of bunk.
My take on the dialectical materialism.
Yeah. You said the next stage in dialectical material is not socialism, but technical oligarchy. I have some criticisms with that statement.
All right.
But I don't know how much you actually commit to this. First off, we're already there, so you wouldn't say the next stage because we're already in a technocratic oligarchy.
Are we? I don't think so.
Yeah. So if you look at the way in which the coalitions make out, it heavily advantages people in power. We shifted over into sort of like this weird kind of neo-Keynesian kind of supply economics thing that heavily sides with the people who supply the businesses and the technocrats who control society, like all those departments of all this and that, the other. Politicians, their best work is creating a bureaucratic entity, right? So we're already there, so you wouldn't say the next step is that.
So you're saying we're there already. So let me ask you this, right? Do you think that do the technology companies control everything?
Do they control it? No, I don't think they control everything. What do you mean?
What is an oligarchy to you?
So an oligarchy is one where the rich have the majority of the keys of power. The way in which our coalitions make and the way voting patterns make, it's going to heavily advantage and side towards people who control the means of production and the oligarchic entities of our society, so that the aristocratic entities. I don't think they control literally every aspect, but I don't think you have to be the literal embodiment and personification to be something.
Well, I'm asking, so like an oligarchy is a small group of people who have control over a country, an organization, or institution.
There's a looser definition that exists that's not just like literally enshrined. It's just it works out that way. Like technically it's not enshrined that Russia is like a backsliding weird kind of oligarchic system. The way in which their institutions shape out essentially cede most power to religion, the autocrat, or the corporations, right? And that's sort of how things work in America. You can say it's for better or worse, but we're already towards this sort of like technocratic entity.
Okay, but I mean, I don't think it matches the definition of a technocracy. I don't think it's an oligarchy.
In what way are we not driven by bureaucrats? I can't think of a single aspect.
Well, there's areas of society that isn't dictated by technology. In fact, huge parts of society. In fact, the technocrats are beholden to the politicians.
Wait, the technocrat is a bureaucrat. We're talking about the educated people in society making decisions, and I can't think of a single aspect of your life that is in some way being dictated by an expert.
I mean, like, I guess, like, in terms of communication, that's the case, but, I mean, I think that's, like, a far cry.
No, like, the departments
from, like, a technocratic oligarchy. It just seems a little.
Do you know how many departments there are, dude? How many, like, three-letter agencies there are? I'm not against this thing at all. I think it's a good thing, right? But there's so many different bureaucrats that just weigh on what things are and try to regulate things to make, like, efficient outcomes. We have so much, like, we have such a bloated bureaucracy in America. I don't know how you don't see that.
No, I don't disagree with you, but your argument was whether or not that we're a
Yeah,
technocracy,
technocracy.
and you had a problem with my idea of a material dialectic.
Yeah, I
And
just don't think
when I'm
it
bringing
was
it up, I mean, it just seems like, well, you also agree that it doesn't appear to be a technocratic oligarchy currently, but then you're saying that
so
it
like
is. So
what
it
the
doesn't make
issue
any
is,
sense.
right? So like I looked up technocracy, the government or control of society or industry by elite of technical experts. They are not talking about like tech bros, dude.
That's
Uh,
fair.
so
That's
so
fair.
we so wait wait
I'm
wait so
referring to
okay.
specifically that. I
So,
mean, I'm applying a different definition,
can
which
I
is
just
fair.
finish this?
I've clarified what I've meant though.
Oh, okay, but so if you don't mean that, then obviously I'm not challenging on that. I just also don't think this is like a dialectical thing. I don't think there was two groups in society that sort of set the stage for this. I
Hmm.
think this was sort of a functional entity. That'd be the thing, but if you aren't willing to commit to that either, that's why I wanted to see how far you were in on that claim. The other claim I see that's low suspect is you say the cause of increased anxiety and depression. I think there's more than one cause there.
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
So the smartphone thing with 39, right?
Yes.
Combination with social media are destroying adolescent brains and are the cause of increased anxiety and depression. I agree largely with the destroying of the dopamine centers, but I don't believe in it being the de facto cause of the increased anxiety and depression. I think I have a different understanding what those are, given my study into trauma so far. So if you want to have that conversation, if you're
Sure.
mean something completely different than the other one.
There was a book that I read um, that specifically it was by like a PhD, or I think it was actually a master's degree. I could be wrong about it, but it was basically they were doing a particular, analysis. I don't know if I could call it like a study, but it was like it was called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Okay.
And I read the entire thing, and basically they made a very, very, very strong case that the literal cause of anxiety and depression is, in fact, a mix of both the having a smartphone and social media at the same time, and it is especially bad for females.
So I would just push back against the use of cause of.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say
So
this is.
like the problem
I would say.
is that they also pushed back in the book as to whether or not that it could be the cause of, and that it couldn't just be like a correlation. The problem is
No, I
that they
no.
didn't
I
have
just.
any better explanation to account for the entire globe happening at the same exact time.
Well, so another big explanation is we are in some of the most uncertain and unprecedented times of all time.
That's not
This
the
is
case
enough.
in every single country in the world. There were
That's
lots of
the
countries that during that time were very
wait. Every
prosperous.
single wait. Wait. The
Like the
world
United
operating
States was very
outside
prosperous.
of
There's also a
cost.
lot of poor societies that don't have this problem.
Wait, they still are like underneath uncertainty with things shifting with America as a superpower. Climate change too. There's a bunch of like
Yeah,
major
I'm
changes.
aware they had
I
accounted
agree
for
with you
all of
that
these. They had accounted for all of these
I
things.
will agree with you, right? That it absolutely is a major contributing factor. The fact that we're overloading our dopamine centers and make it harder to engage in escapism, right? At the same time, with
That's
flooding
not
you
the reason
literally
why.
with that absolutely is part of this. How is it not?
So what they were basically saying is that there is a portion of time where the child needs to be able to develop. And the specific age that it came down to was between 13 and 16, basically in order to grow up into like basically not an anxious mess. Is you basically need to have consistent challenges
Resilient.
coming from your peers, and that there is a face-to-face interaction, and specifically like with the group of people, because that's how our brains have just been grown to evolve over the course of millions of years as a social species. And so by removing that aspect, we've removed that particular developmental portion of the brain, which then caused the anxiety and depression that we've observed.
That that seems like a lot of suspect claims.
It's not. I recommend to read the book.
Like
it makes this
it's
argument
like
pretty
looking at,
cogently.
that makes like complete sense in the like other ways, and then using like the most convoluted way to get there, right? Like
I'm just
a
telling you
big
what the
thing
book
that makes
says, and I
people
just
anxious
agree with the book
is
because it makes
they're being
sense.
introduced. A big thing that makes people anxious is they're being introduced to a lot of unfixable problems that they know are going to have detrimental effects on them, right? And then you can do nothing. And so basically, our gorilla brains cannot handle the idea of like abstract threats that are marching us towards climate disaster, right? So we're going to respond the same way we would a snake, and that can lead to anxiety. Another issue is we're essentially being shown people who have perfect dream lives because they are both curating what pictures they share, and they are the result of like flashes in the pan or lightning in a bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now our standard is either modernity, which we think is like toxic, evil, right? Or we're Jake Paul, right? So we have these other things contributing to depression. Another thing is your phone. This makes it harder to process things because it opts the same way as like video games or escapism. And so we are sort of ruining our dopamine receptors and making it harder to escape when that's the only thing we're really teaching them to do to deal with their problems, which is escapism. So we basically set them up for failure in a long enough time frame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how this is rebutting my point.
Because it's an alternative explanation outside the specific pathway you chose to do. It's like a different theory. It's a meta point.
I feel like both of those things can be true, but one of them is backed by evidence, which is what I presented in that book.
Wait, but like
it's called The Anxious Generation by John Haidt.
Same thing I've seen from other psychologists that I've listened to, read, and then there's literally the alternative thing.
So what exactly do you think is causing the addition in anxiety, especially in depression, especially among girls?
Awareness of like broad multi-generational problems that require
this is very specific.
To solve is increasing. That's a huge increasing anxiety and stress in people's life. Because before, people were not very aware of these things, and they had a lot more atomized, more like focused and regionalized problems that they reasonably could fix. And now your problems are like, well, climate change could literally cause your entire area to be uninhabitable, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Right? That's a big difference between what
that wouldn't happen at the same that wouldn't happen across the entire globe.
Yes, it would.
How would that work? How does that explain that?
Wait, how is everyone not affected by climate change, Mender?
Some people are affected more than others.
Wait, but that doesn't mean anything. Everyone's affected, and so that causes instability. And that's just one example of a sort of giant problem. People through the information...
So you're saying that the increase of anxiety and depression is due to global warming?
Wait, I think it's multifaceted. You are the one saying...
Did global warming happen in the 90s?
Was awareness of global warming
Let's pull it up. When did anxiety and depression start spiking among adolescents?
Wait. So that's not what we're talking about, Mender. You're changing the topic right now.
No,
running away.
Nope.
So we're going to stay on this. We're going to stay on this. What I'm talking about is your perception and awareness of it has changed. Right? That's what I'm talking about, Mender. And people are way more knowledgeable about systemic issues now than in the past. And they have a lot of information to learn about.
This isn't a change in the measurement. If it was a change in the measurement, you would exhibit in some countries would remain stagnant, and in other countries it would not remain stagnant, but it's gone up across the entire world. And specifically where it started happening was around 2012. I'm going to go ahead and provide exactly what I'm looking at here so you can see that I'm not bullshitting you. This isn't bullshit. Give me 1 second.
Is everyone affected by climate change and the instability that it brings?
That is correct, but specifically around 2012, where it suddenly spikes up, that doesn't make any sense. Calm down. I'm explaining to you. If you look right here, I've just posted it. You can see it on my stream.
These things.
So
I'm saying
I will. So hold on. Climate change has happened prior. Oh my God! Please stop talking over me. Climate change has happened prior. I'm not changing topic. It's the same topic.
No, it isn't, because I'm not talking about what actually happened. I'm talking about people's perceptions. how they see things. People's ability and awareness of climate change and shit like that was way lower in the 90s. Now we have the information age, and at the tip of your fingers, you can figure out these problems now. The average person is now not limited by being able to afford these expensive ass fucking educations, right? So they can know these things. That's a big difference, Amender.
So let me get this straight, right? Prior to 2012, we weren't measuring anxiety and depression as well. And so the entire globe exhibits this new. I'm trying to steel man your point. So what did I get wrong?
No, it isn't. Wait. So then, if
I'm trying to steel man your point. What did I get wrong?
So I am saying that the change is your ability to perceive these problems exist, Amender. You're citing 2012, and this is a huge saturation. This is during the fucking Arab Spring, dude. What are you talking? Like, this is a big difference in information and access.
But it happened across the entire globe.
That happened, dude.
Why did it happen across the entire globe?
Because everyone got these things about the same time.
Except, actually, wait, it didn't happen in the. It didn't happen in exactly the entire globe. It happened in the areas where they had phones. Oh my God! It happened in the areas where people had phones.
So
how do you explain for that? The only answer you have at this point is the phone.
At their fingertips. So the ability to research information at your fingertips was available to them. Yes or no, Amender?
At 2012?
Yes.
Yeah, kids
got
access to cell phones in 2012.
And they were able to research these things, right? That'd be a huge factor you need to explain. That would be commonalities between this. I'm not saying social media has no effect on this, but to confidently say
are kids doing these analyses, or is it scientists who measure this for decades?
Wait, have measured this for decades, and I'm telling you,
scientists have measured this for decades, not children.
The weird evil, like, you're fucking citing, dude. Why are you going against people's qualitative data when you think that you know more about what's happening?
I'm not going against people's qualitative data. You're just throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks. And I'm explaining to you that this was that things like this, like global warming, was in fact considered in the book, and it had been tossed out because there's areas of global warming where it's heavily affected, and in areas where it's not heavily affected, and anxiety levels don't necessarily indicate that because of global warming that's the case. That is also the case for the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring happens around in the Middle East. That wouldn't necessarily happen throughout the entire globe. Something happened around 2012 that changed things. And we could not find a single reason why, other than the access of a smartphone combined with social media apps.
Increased access to information.
That would also explain why specifically that happens among girls than it does boys.
So that would be also like increased access to information, right? So what I'm saying is people's perceptions have changed. They have more access to information, and they have more abilities to find things to be upset about. And they're able to look on social media and get really upset because they see people living dream lives. This is what people report when they talk about things online. Did your fucking book talk about people's perceptions at all? People's responses? Or are they like really inhuman and think they know better than how people should respond to things?
Yes, it analyzed. You're talking about a book written by psychologists. Like, I don't know what you think this is.
Why are you such an inhuman?
You're repeating yourself at this point. Do you have anything else?
Wait. I'm repeating myself because you've not actually adequately responded to
Yes,
me.
I have.
If you cannot move
forward, do you have anything
in the conversation, else? That is fine. You say, well, we believe we have ruled out everything in one book, and then we know everything. We know the exact cause of this one thing.
There's always new things to learn. I never made that
claim.
claim.
And I'm saying it's multivariant and it's multifaceted. You literally conceded that earlier in the conversation.
Could be.
These things can exist at the same time. I don't think that.
I have no indication that any of the things that you have mentioned to cause that thing roughly around 2012 throughout the entire globe.
But if I flood you with evidence, you would still bury your head in the sand. Is the problem, Amender?
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's like a character attack. Now, do you have anything else for me?
Yep. That's bye-bye.
Okay. Good talk. Good God. All right.